I think that they were like, oh, well, this playbook works, and we want to model everyone in that kind of image.
Did they accept you with arms wide open?
Yeah.
That sexist asshole. He was just like trying to pick me up, and she's like, oh my God. She goes, you don't know who that was, do you? I'm like, no. She goes, that's Lars from Metallica. I'm like, oh.
Hey, this is Party Like a Rockstar podcast, and I'm your host, Joel. Today's episode is brought to you by Misha's Kind Foods. They're an LA-based small business making the world's finest non-dairy cheese on the market today. They're lactose-free, paleo, keto, kosher, Parev, and 100% vegan. If you like what you see, check out the next video. If you like this video, please subscribe and like by clicking the little round button on the bottom right. To learn more about me or our other guests on the show, go to joelrody.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. The handle is Joel Rohde. If you haven't already read my book, Memoir of a Roadie, it's now available through Amazon and paperback Kindle or as an audiobook. I hope you enjoy the show.
That would be cool, yeah.
All right, so I'll begin. Dilana Smith is originally from South Africa. She's a singer, songwriter, and performer. She was on the CBS reality television show Rockstar Supernova, appeared on The Voice of Holland, was the lead singer for Tracii Guns' version of LA Guns for a brief period, but I think I like her best from listening to her own albums. Her latest release is a remastered version of Insideout. It was released last year. If you haven't listened to it, please check it out. You really should. Dale Stewart's my second guest. He's a bass player, also from South Africa. He's in the band Seether.
Wait, what? I didn't know that. Sorry.
Okay.
What, the South African part or the Seether part?
Oh my God. Sorry, I didn't know that.
I had to look it up. I don't know my geography, but he's from right up the way from you, right? You're really close to Johannesburg.
Close to Johannesburg? Yeah,
Where you grew
I was
up?
actually, yeah, I grew up in a, it's kind of between Pretoria and Johannesburg. It's an area called Centurion.
Me too.
Oh, you grew up in Centurion? Where?
Dude, no way. But I can hear your accent now. That's so crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, I grew up in Irene.
Oh my God. I grew up in Littleton.
Littleton, okay. Yeah, my dad's from Littleton. So that's funny. It's literally like
we had sports contests against Irene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Dis
crazy.
een klein wêreld, my bookie.
It's a small
It's funny
world
we had to
after
come
all.
out to meet,
I know, right? Weird. Oh shit.
So
All
we'll
right.
do the rest. I'll do the rest of his intro real quick, and then I'll jump into some other fun stuff.
Oh yeah, sorry, Joel.
To date, he has like sold 8 bazillion albums on tons of shit and whatever, 21 top 5 multi-format hits. I don't know what that means, but you did it, Dale. Congrats.
Thank you.
Dale,
17 number one singles. Their most recent albums, the important part here. So Vis Pacem, Bellum. I think Dilana can help me. She speaks I think a lot of languages. It's going to be one of my questions, but it means in English, if you want peace, prepare for war. And it was released last year through Fantasy Records. So if you want me to read out all your other spellbindings, it's 2 billion streams, which is pretty crazy. So my first question.
That's a lot when you say it like that.
Yeah, really.
2 billion. It is. It's crazy. So,
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So my first one here is Barney Simon, The Night Zoo. Dilana, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I know Barney. Yeah, good one.
Did you ever do? I know you did, Dale. That's why I bring it up, actually. So did you ever have? Were you ever on his show or had anything to do with him, Dilana?
I totally was on a few Barney Simon shows. Great DJ back in the day. He had I think it was called Radio 5. Am I correct, Dale?
Yep.
Yeah, Radio 5 in South Africa was like. Oh, now I'm in Holland, so I'm trying to compare it. But yeah, it was a very popular radio station back in the day. Now he's just an old fart, but still respected very much.
He passed. Yeah. I looked it up. He passed away.
He passed
away in 1995.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, because you'll watch like videos and stuff, and then I looked it up. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, all right.
Barney Simon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that, Dale?
No, I didn't know that.
Me neither. I call fake news on this one.
I hope I'm right. We could do a quick look see. But,
that's really weird.
I haven't seen Barney in a while, probably.
It's a good sign.
Maybe,
years, maybe 10 years, so.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so you sent your demo into him, was the quickie, Dale, and he actually played it, and you guys were spellbound with like, oh, cool, we're on the radio type vibe, yeah.
We did. Well, growing up in South Africa, rock music wasn't the biggest thing going, and 5FM was the sort of main radio station, but it was a lot of like pop music and stuff. And then Barney had the Night Zoo, which was rock and metal and stuff from America and Europe and the UK and all that. So that's how we actually found out about a lot of new music and stuff was from his show. But he went on air and he's like, hey, I'm looking for local talent, and if you guys have a band, bring me your demo. If I like it, I'll play it. So we took him our demo and he liked it and played it, and that's really kind of what put us on the map over there.
Cool.
And got us kind of got us a foothold in the scene kind of thing. So we owe a lot to Barney in that respect.
He might not be dead. Hold on here. So there's a Barney Simon.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Who
I thought so.
South African writer, playwright, and director. Must be a different fella, huh?
Yeah.
Must be. Yeah. He was definitely not a playwright and director. Nope.
All right. Anyway, I'm glad that it all worked out with that guy. So, all right. So then what happens is we're right on the
Yay, Barney.
Barney's gonna be like, fuck all you all,
Seriously, I'm like, dude, seriously?
I'm gonna send him some bad biltong.
Nice.
Oh, that stuff, huh?
I did. So I was in South Africa a few years ago, and actually the tour guide was the tour guide's wife was Gilby Clarke's cousin. So
okay, yeah, because Gilby's wife is a South African. That's right. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she is. She owns Frankie B Denim's Jeans, which is a huge industry or business in LA specifically.
Okay.
But she makes unbelievable designer jeans and leathers, and like everything Gilby wears is Frankie B jeans by her.
Oh wow.
South African. So proud of her.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So you come to LA to act, Dilana, or did you come to sing?
I definitely went to sing. My auditions for Rockstar Supernova were in LA, and I was living in Texas at the time, in Houston. And so when I won the runner-up in that show, my manager at the time said, you got to stay here in Hollywood because you got to strike while the iron's hot. And so I just ended up in Hollywood because of the show. But I originally went to America because I was married to an American guy.
Oh.
And after 9/11, we were living in Scotland. He was really tortured about the whole situation because his family still lived in New Orleans. So he decided we should just move to the States so that he could be closer to his family. So that's why we originally moved, was because of him. Because right at that time, my career was peaking in Holland, and I literally dropped it all just to move to the States with him. Oh. So I had to start like from scratch when I moved to the States. I had it all happening right on the epicenter of everything. And then I had to make that decision. Do I stay here and leave my husband, or do I go with him? And that's what I did.
Yeah, big decision for sure.
It sure was.
Yeah. Well, all right. And you did this thing in New York, Dale, where they called you in and you guys played. You did a showcase. So you're nervous as hell, or were you guys ready to crush it, or a little bit of both?
Dude, we were so nervous, man. It was such a.
They paid to fly you out, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'd never left the country really, and all of a sudden we get this call from Wind Up Records in New York City, and they're like, "Hey, it's just Wind Up Records, fly out tomorrow. We'd love to meet you guys." And being South African and needing a visa to go everywhere in the world, we said, "Well, can't go tomorrow. Give us a week to get visas and things." And a week later, we're in New York City, and I mean, just they picked us up in a limo and took us to the nicest hotel in the city and took us to these restaurants. I mean, it was crazy. It was such a culture shock. But yeah, we played the showcase. We were so nervous, man. Like I think I smelled like a hobo because I forgot to put deodorant on. And Sean broke a guitar string like 20 minutes before we were supposed to play. So we were traipsing around the city looking for a music shop to buy like one string because we only have money for a string kind of thing. And it was just a comedy of errors. But I think it was kind of a disaster. But I think they saw something in us and they're like, all right, well, you know, we think we can polish this. They couldn't
afford your plane ticket home.
So we played a showcase and they came up to us and like, cool, well, you know, welcome to Wind Up Records. That was it. And then 9/11 happened right after that. That was like July. And then we're there, you know, 2001, then 9/11 happened. Jeez. While we were back in the States, you know, getting our affairs in order to move out there. So that was a crazy time. And then we moved to New York in January of 2002. So yeah, it was a crazy time.
Yeah. Did you ever live in LA or no?
Yeah, well, we're supposed to record in New York, and then like literally 2 days before we're supposed to start, you know, we're done with pre-production and everything. They called us and said, hey, there's a change of plans. You know, we're now you know, Jay Baumgartner's and I'm gonna produce the album. And we're going to record at his studio, NRG in LA. So, you know, head to the airport, your flight leaves in like 2 hours kind of thing. So we packed all our stuff, flew to LA, and I lived in LA for the next 15 years. I literally just moved, well, I say just, it's now about 4 years ago, moved out of LA. So I live in Georgia now, which is a major change of pace, but, you know, I like it. But yeah, I was in LA for many 15 years.
You too, Lars. That's about right. Were you here longer than that?
I was there and I was in LA for 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so crazy that we both moved to the States around the same time, and then lived in LA for almost the same amount of time, and we never
lived in and probably at the same
never
time.
met each other.
I was in Burbank though. Well, I lived in Hollywood, you know, for about the first year or two, and then moved to Burbank after that. Yeah.
Well, Dilana was Valley adjacent.
Yeah, I was, but I also I lived everywhere. I lived in Sherman Oaks. I lived in what's that? Rock something. Rock.
North Hollywood, no?
I lived in North Hollywood. Yeah, I lived in Van Nuys. Eagle Rock. Yes, I lived in Eagle Rock, Van Nuys, Rancho Cucamonga.
She was running from the landlord.
Hey, how do you know? Did you know that?
Because you're from South Africa, that's how I know. Okay, another one. So Dilana's daughter, I don't know if you've seen this video, Dale, but you have to treat yourself. And it's not knocking either one of you, but it is just so good. I watched it twice. And she gets on the TV show that you're the Voice show here in Holland. She was on, and she sings Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it is it's amazing. It was so cute.
2.5 years old, on pitch.
Oh, and she encored. She does an encore.
And she does an encore, and then she goes, "Thank you very much."
It's amazing. It really is great. And I'm sitting there like, I'm like, Dilana brought a shill to the show.
Well, actually, you know what is quite ironic about what you just said is the fact that they didn't ask me permission to bring her on camera. So
I was gonna wonder, as a mom, were you like, oh no, what am I doing?
I was
here?
pissed. I was pissed because I just finished my song, and next minute the presenter comes up with my baby in his arms, exposing her to television, and I was. You can kind of see it on the show if you know me, you can kind of see my shock, and then I realized
like, I got this, Mom.
Yeah, but I was like,
I know the wheels on the bus.
The wheels on the bus. That's what she started singing.
It was really amazing. It was really.
If you want to see something truly amazing, you need to watch something even sooner than The Voice of Holland. When I did a show somewhere in California, and she got on my lap and started singing "The Cat's in the Cradle."
Oh, really?
Every single lyric. At age 2, I think she was.
Wow.
How often? I know you sang it. You did it on Rockstar Supernova, am I right?
Yes, I did.
So how many times did you sing that at home? It must be a lot, and that's where she must pick it up.
I never sing at home, dude. When I rehearse, it's in my car by myself.
And I'm kind of making your daughter out to be like a parrot. Like she just listens.
Yeah, you are.
She's like, I picked the wheels on the bus.
What I do is I just play the songs over and over, and I listen to them. I don't literally physically sing them out. And that's how I rehearse until I get into my car by myself, and then I'll sing. But I just did a theater tour recently with the like legendary rock chicks from the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Fun.
And I did a bunch of stuff, and I just did the show 3 weeks ago, and she knew every single lyric without me even knowing that she took it all in. So now she's like, Mom, I want to do the Voice of Holland Kids, and I want to sing Barracuda by heart.
Oh, hell
Nice.
yeah.
I'm like,
Very nice.
what?
How cool is that?
Dude,
Yeah,
she's
she's
8
gonna
years
take
old
over.
and she's like killing it. Yeah.
That
it's
little
crazy.
video has 9 million listens and it has like 75,000 likes.
Yeah, more than me, and I'm the one that was on the show. God.
It's awesome.
That's
You
adorable.
got upstaged. You got upstaged.
Yeah,
by
I totally did.
by your own family. Yeah.
Do you have kids, Dale?
You know, I will have one in about a month.
Hey,
Oh,
congrats,
really?
man.
Yeah, we have a little girl.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
A
Thank you.
girl, what cute.
Yeah, the latest date, she's predicted before the due date, but the latest date is going to be January 9th.
Okay.
So
What are you
yeah,
gonna call her? Elsie?
Olivia.
Marai. Marai.
Yeah. Good South African. I like a South African.
Lekker,
Yeah,
ja.
that's
Dis 'n mooi
How did
naam.
you get the name Dilana? Because I looked it up. So it's an American name of lineage, it says.
Oh, I didn't even, now you're telling me something I
It
didn't know.
said, well, I got the other one wrong, so don't count on me. But
I'll
it
give you
said
some credit.
American. It means
Actually,
of
my
the
mother's name was Dina, Dina, and she always wanted to have a little girl named Lana, so she just combined our names, Dilana.
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
now there's a very famous rug, online rug called Dilana that you can also get.
There you go.
Are they good looking rugs?
I have no idea. I wish someone would just delete it.
You
should get a royalty every
we
time
weave
they
it from
sell
your
one.
old hair. The weave it and the. So why did you cut off your hair? Because it was like such a defining part of how I envision you. Because I'm so used to the colored dreads. So
Yeah, I mean that was totally my third arm. Let's put it that way. For the last 18 years, and then I got alopecia, which is the thinning of the hair, like a lot of bald spots. And I started noticing it like 2 years ago. It's from the weight and all the head banging, obviously. And then when I got COVID last December, a year ago now, I really noticed after I recovered that every time I took a shower, I had like hands full of hair, and it just got worse and worse.
Oh, awful.
And then my theater tour was coming up, and I was doing all these different looks and changes and different costumes and things. And I thought, now's the time. And I just shaved it all off. 17 years of growing, of 18 years of growing dreadlocks. So yeah.
When you dream, do you dream with your hair always? That you have your hair?
That's so funny. Yes.
So I'm bald as it can be. But when I was a kid, so,
Do you dream that you have hair?
well, I usually have my hair, yeah, because I had a big
Isn't that
afro like
weird?
in high school, yeah. And I don't know why.
Wow.
It's crazy. But yeah, I'm always dreaming that I still have my hair. And then I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh no, it's really gone.
I hope these questions are okay with you, Dale. I didn't run them by your management.
But with Dale?
He's like, management will be like, so what'd you guys talk about?
I'm cool, man.
A lot about hair.
I'll talk about anything. I'm not.
Or no hair.
No worries.
Talked about fly fishing. I don't even know. I don't think we spoke about music. I do. Okay, so I have a music question. I have a music question. So my music question is, so look reading into to Seether and stuff. It was you guys changed the name Catering to Cowards because they made you. And then I'm a little iffy on Careless Whisper. You guys chose it. I know you played it like in jest a little bit. But when you read this stuff online, at least in your guys' case, is it like a big fight with the label, or is the label sort of like, hey, nah, try and switch it up, and you guys are like, yeah, all right, let's think of something else?
It depends on the label. We butted heads, quite a bit with Wind Up Records, because I think they had a very very steadfast kind of vision of what they wanted our band to be. And I feel like because, their main band was Creed, that's really what kind of put them on the map. And I think that they were like, oh, well, this playbook works, and we want to model everyone in that kind of image.
Did they accept you with arms wide open?
Yeah, to a point.
Sorry, no, that was a good one.
That was
It
good.
is 8 a.m. here. Okay, sorry.
That was good.
Oh yeah.
But we would, or at least that's how we felt, and we just, we couldn't be more of a different kind of band than that. And I guess we always just felt like they were trying to take the edge off, and trying to polish this thing and make it a bit more palatable for the general sort of masses.
Commercial value.
We come from more of like a punk rock thing where we're like, no man, we want to like get drunk and get on stage and have mosh pits and go ape shit and have fun, and we don't want to be this like kind of polished product thing. We just want to, we're kind of old school, and we butted heads a lot on that kind of stuff, and even working with certain producers and stuff, it's almost like they were instructed by the label to, hey, take the edge off so that make this one a little bit more radio friendly, so we can get more spins, or so we just felt like that was a constant thing, and we were pushing back against that.
So that's where the Careless Whisper came about?
Well, yeah, Careless Whisper, we just kind of did for fun. They said, look, they want to, or that they're working on some, like, I forget what it even was. It was like some kind of compilation thing, or bands doing covers for, like, it was like either a Valentine's Day thing or something like that. And they said, look, you can take it seriously, you can just have fun with it. And you thought, well, let's just have fun. And we thought, what would be the song that people would least expect us to play?
Oh, yeah.
Thought, well, Careless Whisper, and Sean and I also had like a running joke, and with involving the song, and we're like, oh, it'll just be funny, let's do it. That's a great song, so that people really loved it. It lent itself really well to being made into kind of more of a rock song, instead of just being this kind of joke thing that we're doing for fun. The label's like, oh, it's great, we love it, we want to put it on the album. And we're like, well, we didn't record it to be put on the album. Like, we have our own songs we'd rather have on there. So, but again, you pick your battles, and we're like, all right, we'll do that, and we'll.
So the acoustic album. So Dilana, when you did the Voice of Holland, I looked in, and your voice just was gone that day. It was just the shittiest luck, and I mean.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Dilana. Sorry.
Well, I was just I was still living in LA, and it was like from the one week to the next, I had to be in Holland for the filming. And we jumped on a plane. River was still a tiny baby, as you know, like 2 years old or whatever. And the connection flight got delayed, and we were like super delayed. Arrived here in Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, like 4 a.m. I had to be in the studio at 8 a.m. And my guitar case arrived with no handle. So here I am with a huge guitar case, a baby, a stroller, all my shit. I got a virus on the airplane. It's in the middle of winter. It's freezing cold. Couldn't find a taxi anywhere. So we just started walking, and we finally found a taxi to get us to a hotel, which we booked last minute. And then this hotel was in a location where you had to get out of the car and walk to your destination. So all this walking, traveling, no sleep, catching a virus on the plane.
This would be a good blues song.
Dude, totally. Including killing your mother-in-law on the railway track. So by the time I arrived at the studio that morning, I had slept for maybe an hour, if I even slept. And then where they film it, it's so deceiving. You see it on television and you think, oh, wow, what a great studio. Meanwhile, it's this empty factory in the middle of nowhere outside Amsterdam. You walk in, it was pouring rain, just water pouring out of the ceiling, buckets standing everywhere, no heating. I entered the door, and the first thing they did was to hand me a red blanket. So I walk in, and everyone's sitting there with these red blankets with the cold air from their mouths. And I'm like, holy shit. So they're like, okay, just sit on the couch. We'll call you when it's your turn. 8 hours later, they called me, And they said, okay, it's time for wardrobe and hair and styling and whatever. And I had my headphones on watching Netflix, and someone tapped me on my shoulder, and I just remember going, and my voice was gone. I was like, hello, yeah, I can't talk. And I was like, oh shit. And the whole day I was telling them, I'm not feeling well. I'm feeling sick. I have a fever. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just stay on the couch. And by the time I went up on stage, they had been trying to talk me into deciding whether I'm going to sing or not sing. And I just said to them right at the last minute, I said, I'm going up there and I'm going to sing, and whatever happens, happens. I don't know if anything's going to come out or nothing at all. I'll just take whatever comes. And that's what came out. And I still think when I listen to it, I'm like, wow, that's not actually that bad. It sounds like a Bonnie Tyler version of a Roxette song.
And then as they kept going to like reaction shots, but Waylon seemed to be like, good job for making
It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. I still got a chair.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to some things I've heard before, I'm like, wow, I still feel like I did it, I could have chickened out and said, okay, I'm not doing it. But literally, I'm not exaggerating. It's definitely a South African trait that we have. South Africans are just such fighters. We have this blood in our veins that just says we can't give up and we have to keep going. And we're just fearless people. We really are. And my roots will never leave me. So I know that people around me who were in the same situation would have shat their pants and chickened out and said, oh, poor me, I can't do it. Whereas I always rise above and like, no, I'm going to go for it. Whatever happens, happens. And that's what I did.
What happened after? Were you bumming, or were you like, I thought that was all right? Because you can't tell. Really.
I was pissed off because it was unfair, because I just flew in. It was freezing cold. The conditions were shit. Were terrible. Yeah, you're a singer and they put you into the freezing cold room with water everywhere. And I'm vegan, so they didn't even have food for me all day. I had to live on apples. That's all they had there. And it was on my rider or my wish list, like at least have some warm soup or something for me. So, I was hungry, I was tired, I hardly slept, I was sick and freezing cold. So I was pissed off about the injustice part of it.
When you first started the show, sorry.
My goal on that to go onto the Voice of Holland was not to win that show, because I had a #1 hit here in Holland 20 years ago. I had 5 top 10 hits. But I disappeared for 17 years, moved to the States. So my goal was to just reintroduce myself and say, hey, I'm moving back to Holland. Remember me, the girl from 2000? That was my goal, and I definitely achieved that.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard you had said in the Rockstar Supernova 2, if you had won, you might not have even taken the gig.
I totally would have declined it. I had my decline speech ready to go. And I officially won that show, but they never gave me a chance to do a speech, or they also didn't give me a chance to prove or to show that I officially won. Officially, I had the highest viewer votes. And then they took a commercial break and we came back, everyone knowing that I'd won. And they said, Lucas, we pick you, you're our guy. And of course I was relieved, because I didn't want to win that show. It was totally not the kind of material I wanted to sing. And I wanted to be a part of the songwriting process. I thought it was bullshit that they already had all the songs written and now I have to just come up on stage and sing their songs when I didn't feel any connection. For me, it's all about the writing, So I was very relieved to be the runner-up. But it once again, it was just bullshit that I didn't get a chance to speak my word and say how I felt about everything. But that's TV, so whatever.
I wonder if I met you on that set, because I went to the set because Jason was doing art. He was an artist.
Yes, he was.
And so I went and I was looking at his paintings and we were talking about it.
Could be.
Remember. It might be, because I was trying to think.
Did you come to the mansion?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You're talking the set in Hollywood.
I went to the set in Hollywood. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
The house.
We were in Los Feliz in the house.
I don't remember that. It's really bad. My memory sucks. It's so bad.
Dude, it's 16 years ago.
Yeah, well,
worry.
that too, yeah.
Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah. So one cold night, you guys were the same, right? There was a bit of health issues going on, and so we changed the vibe, did an acoustic album, and they end up releasing it. Was it all a shock? Again, was it an argument? You didn't want to release it? Because listening to it, it's a great album, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's well, one cold night we'd kind of been planning for a while. You know, Sean wasn't feeling great when we recorded that. But again, it's one of those things that I think it almost adds to the sound of it. You know, and kind of makes it sound cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just went and jammed in this little pub. Our guitar player at the time, he lived in Philly, and the Grape Street pub was this little local hang. We'd always go hang out there in Philly. We just decided, oh, well, why don't we just go play there, play acoustic, and, you know, we'll light some candles and film it. And yeah, ended up releasing it, and it did really well. You know, people to this day come up to us like, hey, you know, are you guys gonna do, you know, another acoustic thing? Or I guess the answer is possibly. You know, it's something that, you know, is always in the back of our minds. But it was fun though, man. I like doing that acoustic stuff.
Yeah.
A really cool thing we did a couple of years ago, we did an acoustic run through Europe, and it was all in like old churches and things.
Oh, neat.
So it'd be in these old, like, you know, hundreds of years old, like beautiful, you know, and a lot of them are like abandoned and stuff. But
yeah, as a roadie, those are awesome, by the way. We love those gigs.
Oh yeah, no, our guys were stoked.
I wonder,
you know,
actually, it is one of the questions I like to ask people. So we're kind of jumping into it. And the question is, so what are the weirdest gigs you guys have played? Like where the hell am I? It might be, honestly, for you, Dilana, it might be that TV show you're in an abandoned warehouse in the water with your daughter or whatever. But what are some of the strangest venues you guys have performed throughout your careers?
I'm trying to think. I mean, the churches were
played in.
cool.
Sorry, you go ahead, Dale.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say the churches were cool. I don't know about strange. I mean, I suppose a bit strange.
Could be
for
cool.
A rock band, you know, a little sacrilegious maybe.
Yeah.
But they were beautiful. But yeah, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, over the years you just end up playing in weird, you know, whether it's a festival, playing in the rain, you know, pedal boards in puddles of water, and you standing in the same puddle, you know, against your better judgment. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say maybe some of the weirder places we played, you know, we're in South Africa, where, you know, the music scene's a little bit more, I don't know what the word would be. It's maybe not quite as polished as it is in the States or in Europe. And the festivals too, you know, the festivals we used to do earlier on in South Africa. I mean, there would be like, hey, so you guys got food for the bands, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, you know, it's okay. Well, I guess, you know, I found a loaf of bread. I'll eat that for the 3 days we're here. You know, and there was like nowhere to stay, like sleeping like in your car and stuff. You know, so those were interesting. But looking back, those were also the most fun. You know, just like guerrilla festival kind of vibes. You know, it was good times.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to Dale. I remember when the very first time I left South Africa to come on a vacation to Holland. It was actually an illegal little tour because we didn't have work permits. And I was in a band called Wozani at the time with George van Dijk from Jabulani, from Hotline. He actually wrote this song Jabulani with PJ Powers. So I was in a band with George van Dijk and Graham Clifford, and the three of us had this original African rock music band. And we came over to Holland, and that was the first time ever we played at a festival, our first gig. It was literally the first time ever I heard my own voice, and I just about jumped off stage because I had never sung over monitors before. So for me, it was like, what the hell? What are these things? And I was like, turn it off. But I really was like, what the hell is that noise? And it was my own voice. But to this day, I have to say, thanks to my South African upbringing in our poor ways of having festivals and making music, I can sing anywhere, anytime with no monitors and be in pitch and not give a shit. Where I see these other vocalists like throwing a big drama scene because, oh my God, I can't hear myself. And I'm like, dude, you hear the instrument, you hear the bass line, I hear the root note of the bass guitar, and I'm there, you know. So I once again, my South African roots have definitely helped me a lot through the years with live music and performing without great sound, because you just feel the music and you know you're good, you got it. But I think some of my weirdest places where I've played before, definitely the churches, which I do here in Holland all the time. And like last week, I had to give a workshop for a group, 8 students. They're like 13-year-old students, a music a workshop that I give with my guitarist in a church. And behind us is this huge cross on the wall. And I had to sing Highway to Hell. And I was just like cracking up. I was like, I even said on the mic, like, oh, this feels so weird. I'm singing Highway to Hell with a cross behind me.
Oh, that's a good one.
But I've also played back in the 90s when I just first moved here in Holland. I played in a kraakpand, an abandoned building that like these hippie dudes take over. What do you call it?
A rave type thing?
No, they just move in illegally. They make it theirs.
Squatting.
Yeah, like
Squatter. Thank you. A squat building. I can't even think in English anymore. It's all Dutch now. So we played in this basement of this squatter building, and it was actually an old hospital, and where we were playing was the morgue.
Oh, wow.
So everywhere was just like this cold, musty, disgusting building, and everywhere were these slabs, these tables, and we had to like set up our gear in between these.
That's a great place to shoot a music video.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be.
That'd be
so
really airy and
dark.
really cool.
Yeah, it is actually cool. And I have to say, my most recent one, it's a gig that I'll never ever forget in my life. It was almost a life-changing thing for me. It was last year during the COVID times, or this year, sorry, it's already December, geez. It was this year, probably in June. My guitarist called me up on a Thursday night and he said, one of his students' dads just called him and asked if he and I could sing tomorrow, the next day, at his wedding. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
like from one day to the next at a wedding. Okay, sure. What songs, you know? And because we don't do weddings, but it was in a hospital, and the wife was 41 years old.
Oh.
In hospital with cancer, and they wanted to get married before she passed. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Their special request songs were Everything I Do by Bryan Adams, and Elvis Presley, Wise Men Say.
Sure.
And one more by Lady Gaga, Shallow, or one of the others. And I was like, oh God, I don't even know those songs, but I'll quickly learn them. And without thinking, I just said yes, because it was like, immediately I thought, if I'm a 41-year-old mom with 2 kids, 2 teenage sons, age 11 and 15, the last thing I want to hear is someone saying no. So I studied the songs in the night before. We got to the hospital the next day, and it was COVID. So there were only 15 guests allowed, close family. So we were in this tiny little room, and she walked in with this wedding dress, like a proper white wedding dress, but you could see just the death on her face. You know, she was just like a shell walking in there. And I immediately thought like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? And I kept watching her sitting next to her husband and her 2 boys and holding their hands. And she was so strong for them.
Yeah.
And I thought, when it's my turn to sing, I better be on form. You know, I want them to remember this moment in a good way, not remember, oh God, the singer broke down, you know? So I sang the songs. It was extremely hard. That night, we offered to go sing in her room, just casually for her. So we went back that night, my guitarist and I. It was just her husband and her 2 sons. And we just had a party. We drank wine, we had snacks, and we just sang. And the whole ward was all cancer patients. They all were like singing out of their rooms. And the nurses came by and said, oh, this was such an amazing night. And then 1 week later, we sang at her funeral.
Oh,
and
God.
it was, I felt extremely strong. It was completely different from the wedding. And it was because I knew that her last days, we gave her that moment where she could really have a great goodbye, a great farewell with her family, her loved ones. And she gave me a hug and whispered in my ear, thank you so much. This is all I needed. And I will always remember that, because while we were singing, standing next to her coffin, I thought, wow, a week ago we were next to her bed and now we're next to her coffin. But this is a moment that her family, her boys will remember forever. You know, the day we said goodbye to our mom was an amazing, beautiful day with beautiful music and no real tears or breakdowns. It wasn't my moment, it was hers, you know?
Yeah.
But I'll never forget it. It was really special. Really special.
Beautiful story.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So when I was going to put together this podcast, I was at my mate's house. He has a little daughter, actually. She's in 5th grade. And so her and her friends, they met up and they said, you need to ask each guest when they first felt famous. So my question to you guys, when did you first feel famous? If you don't want to go down the road of fame, that's okay. When would be a moment in your career that would be a catalyst to the next level, an event worth sharing? What would you guys each choose as being something monumental for you, I suppose?
Well, I don't know if I feel famous. You know, I feel like the bass player is the least famous member of the band. Generally speaking.
I had Paul McCartney on here recently.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Paul McCartney.
I had Matt Bissonette on, and he said that he asked Ringo, like, how would you play? Like, how could you hear anything? And Ringo was like, I would just watch Paul's ass.
Cool.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you. Sorry. Okay, what are you saying?
You know, I think for me, a moment that was really special and that really stands out to this day was, I want to say it was about 2004. And we'd come back to South Africa to play a couple of festivals, and Metallica was headlining these festivals. And we played at Centurion Park, which is our local, you know, cricket oval in town. You know, I grew up going to watch cricket matches there as a kid, and, you know, played mini cricket, you know, when I was little over there, and you know, all this cool stuff. So it was really, you know, a local place for me, and we played there and it was packed. There was about, I think, 45,000 people, or closer to 50. I think they oversold it, but there was just a ton of people. And we got up and we played. I don't think we were main. I think there was a band between us and Metallica, but we were playing our show, and I looked over and Lars and James were sitting on the side of the stage. And I remember being so nervous because, you know, just in playing in front of them, like these heroes of mine that I grew up idolizing, I could care less about all the people out there. It's just these 2 guys watching. But on the other side of the stage was my parents. My mom and dad were there, you know, my cousins were there, you know, and all these family members. And it was just such a special moment. Because
did you tell the guys, hey, don't screw up, my parents are here?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, what's funny about that, Sean's mom was at the show, and we're hanging out. I think it was after the show, and we're in the dressing room, and you know, Lars came up to us after the show. He's like, guys, great show, it was awesome. Oh, thanks, man. And we're in the dressing room, and Sean's introducing his mom. Oh, you know, this is our sound guy, so and so. This is like a guitar tech. And James Hetfield walks in, and Sean's mom's like, and what's your name and what do you do? He's like, oh, hi, I'm James. She thought he was just like, you know, one of the crew guys or something. And Sean's like, Mom, just mortified, you know, like, The moral of the story: no matter how old you get, your mom's still going to embarrass you.
No shit, yeah.
These people. But it was just so cool, man. Like just the fact that I got to watch them play for the first time, which was awesome, and then I got to meet the guys, and they were super cool. And they actually watched us play, and were very complimentary. And my parents were there to see the whole thing and play this huge show in front of all these people. And it's one of the first times we'd come back to South Africa, so it was like this homecoming, and that was such a special moment. Like it's such a great memory for me. Like I'll never forget that day. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
Dilana, what do you have? What would be your moment to share?
Well, I guess just like Dale, I'm the most humble person ever. I've never felt like I'm a superstar, I'm famous or anything. I actually really dislike even the thought of that. I've always considered myself to be just equal with everybody. If I have a pet peeve, it's someone name dropping or using their gift as a tool to achieve something. It's just not in my nature. But of course, I have moments where, I've got a Lars story myself. I was I was very close to Mick Mars. In fact, this tattoo here, Mick and I have it together.
Oh, cool.
Mick from Motley Crue. Yeah, so
musical genius, I may add.
Totally. Yeah. He played on my one record. But so Mick invited me one day to be his guest, to come with him. He had to play at a hotel cafe in LA. And so his car picked me up, and I jumped in the back with him, and we drove over to Hotel Cafe, and he basically just had to play on one song. So I'm walking into the club with him. We go into the backstage, and there's everybody: Alanis Morissette, Lars, but I didn't know that was Lars at that moment, and all these other mega stars. And so I always feel very uncomfortable in that situation. So I quickly made my way out of there. And my bass player at the time was Kim Chi, a female bassist who played with Pink, also really great groovy female bassist. And I told her to meet me there. So I went to the bar to get Kim and I each a drink. So I'm standing at the bar, and this little guy walks up to me, and he starts making conversation, but he's wearing a t-shirt. And to this day, I cannot remember what it said, but it was something sexist that immediately pissed me off. And I was like, thinking to myself, oh my God, look at that macho man's t-shirt, So he starts making conversation, and I'm very short with him, like, yeah, whatever. Can I just have 2 dirty martinis, whatever? And he keeps going on and on. And then he finally goes, do I hear a South African accent? And I'm like, then he got my attention a little bit. And I was like, yeah, a little bit. So he's like, yeah, I've been to South Africa. I'm like, well, cool. So's half the planet. I was like being really short with him. And so I'm like, yeah, bye-bye. Like I take off with my 2 dirty martinis, go back to my bassist, Kim, and I sit down, and she's like, oh my God, what did he say? What did he say? I'm like, who? And she goes, Lars. I'm like, what Lars? What are you talking about? She's like, the guy you were just talking to at the bar. I'm like, oh, that sexist asshole. He was just talking, he was just like trying to pick me up. And she's like, oh my God. She goes, you don't know who that was, do you? I'm like, no. She goes, that's Lars from Metallica. I'm like, oh, I had no idea.
I assure you, he went and changed the shirt right after.
Well, I really
put on a
lot of
Seether shirt. That's what he did.
Well, the same thing happened when I met Mick Mars. It was a setup writing session from my label at the time, or my management. So my manager picks me up, and he takes me to this place where I'm going to write a song with this guy, Mick Mars. I have no idea who the hell Mick Mars is. I walk in, there's this little old frail guy, kind of eerie looking. So I meet him. We walk into this room. They shut the door and they leave us alone. So I'm like, hey there. And we start talking. We start writing. And at a given point, he goes, we're on this little piece of a song. And he goes, no, you know that part of blah, blah, blah title from Motley Crue? It goes like, and I'm like, sorry, I'm not really a Motley Crue fan. never been a fan of their music. And he looks at me and he goes, and he goes, I like you, man. And I'm like,
Nice.
oh, I'm like, why? You also don't like Motley Crue? I had no idea who he was.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was really funny. And then we ended up just being the best of friends. In fact, he proposed to me. We were going to get married on August 13th in Death Valley. But I was going through a really rough time in my life. And this is right before I went to rehab and lost my shit. But I basically told him, no, I'm not marrying you. This is a big fat joke. And, you know, I want to go hiking and parasailing and continue jumping out of airplanes. And there's no way you and I are going to be doing that kind of stuff. And then I didn't hear from him for a long time.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it ended. But we're back in contact again. It's all cool. But he's just a sweetie. But you know, yeah, I don't feel like I'm a star. My mom was very proud when I opened for Aerosmith in Vegas, and I guess that was cool. But I was so high, I don't even remember the gig. I don't remember playing. This is before I went to rehab. So there are moments in my life that I just don't remember at all. Which of course, I regret that. Those are some highlights, but I was just so on my own little planet that it's like a blur to me.
Yeah. Well, Dale, I know you have another one of these in 3 minutes. I hope you enjoy your time off.
Oh, Dale, Mr. Popular, look at you.
Yeah.
Speaking about being famous, Dale.
Right.
What have we learned here today? Don't name drop.
Yeah, don't name drop and call your babies. The second name is Dilana.
There you go. Dilana. I like it. I
one.
like it very much.
Cute, man.
It was nice to meet you, Dilana. It's
You
funny.
too, Dale.
Funny it took
Praat
this,
jy ook 'n bietjie Afrikaans?
Ek praat so 'n bietjie, maar jy weet is nie so maklik nie want ek praat nie baie Afrikaans nie. Ek en Sean gesels bietjie hier en daar, maar
as jy 'n bietjie wil skinder, nee, dan praat jy Afrikaans.
Ja, ons skinder, maar almal weet jy skinder as jy Afrikaans praat.
Dan is dit lekker, nee.
Yeah. I was just saying that Sean and I talk a bit of Afrikaans, but it's usually when you're talking about other people and they know instantly, when you kick into the Afrikaans. So we try not to. But
how many languages do you speak, Dilana?
Cool. I speak 3 fluently. I'm learning Portuguese. I'm learning German, a little bit of French, a little bit of Italian. But yeah, whatever. My daughter speaks 3 languages too, so I don't have much to brag about.
We're going to have to bring her on for the next one.
Totally. You do. She'll sing for you, no problem.
It'd be pretty funny. Some of these, when did you first feel famous? She's like, wow.
Oh, she'll have answers, believe me. God.
Fun.
Hey, Dale, good luck with the baby. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you very much.
And if you want to, we should keep in touch sometime. It would be awesome.
Yeah,
all right.
Sounds good.
Take care, man.
You can send Dilana's information to your man.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, cool.
All
yeah,
right.
I won't be one of those groupie chicks. Don't worry about it.
No. Let's stay in touch.
I can send you some secondhand girls' clothing and stuff,
Okay, sweet.
Hand-me-downs.
Nice.
Hey, Joel, thanks for connecting
Thanks
us.
a lot, Joel. Nice talking to you.
You're welcome. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe by clicking the round button on the bottom right. To learn more about me or the guests on the show, go to joelrohde.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. The handle's Joel Rohde. And don't forget, when you party like a rock star, don't be a dick.